Right, you might also get the pop-up. So let's discover today how you can create your own real-world augmented reality games using two tools, using Fectar and Loquiz. So how you can provide your events and your clients with an augmented reality. So I will start this session. If you have any question, feel free to type in the chat. Our team keep an eye on the chat, and some question can be answered in the chat, and some others will be answered later in the question and comment section. So let's first introduce this webinar about what we are going to do regarding the augmented reality. After the introduction, we're going to have to hear from Bram van Vugt, who's the Fectar content director. And I would like to thank him for accepting our invitation, for presenting his point of view regarding the augmented reality from Fectar. And as you could see, if you tried this game, they developed a whole creative tool to set up Fectar with your phone, and they created a tool that I would say is mind-blowing, that will allow you to put any 3D items around you. So we'll talk more about this. Once we have a presentation from the Fectar point of view, I will present myself how you can set up an augmented reality with Loquiz, and I will do it really step by step. From there, it will be like a tutorial on how you can effectively put any 3D items you wish, or any 360 content using this augmented reality for your events and your clients. And finally, we will have the question and comment section. So the first thing I want to discuss with you, I want to discuss the definition of augmented reality, because this webinar is all about this. And we might have a different view of what is the augmented reality. So please write down in the chat what do you think is the augmented reality, and I will write down right here so everyone can see. All right. You can write what you think is the definition. So where you can see info and media in front of your visual space. So here we have the idea of a visual. The idea of visual is the view. The sight is our first sense that we use to make our reality. And the augmented reality will, of course, use the view. But then the augmented reality can also use some other sense, like hearing, like the touch. And that's something that we think a bit in the page where we discuss about augmented reality. Interactive virtual elements laid on the real world through a device camera. That's true. There's often the idea of using a device camera to see an element around you. This can be your phone, but also we also talk about the augmented reality with the VR headset, where you can really be in yourself in a 3D environment rather than controlling the third-person character. And actually, this is one of the things that Fectar is working on. And the VR is something that goes a bit far away from the Loquiz scope, but this is something that we regularly see in events, especially in the corporate events. And one of the common points between this kind of virtual reality and Loquiz is the fact that we can set up basically anything as long as we can use the tools to set up things. And what is nice with Fectar is that it gives us some ease, some ability to place any augmented reality items you wish. And this is something that we will see. So Tom is telling us the next wave in storytelling. Indeed, we work wave by wave in the domain of technologies. And since the last years, we talk more and more about the augmented reality. We start seeing this in different events. We have a corporate asking for this to add in the events. And this is indeed a powerful way for the storytelling. This is powerful because it increases the possibility of immersion. For example, I made you immerse in the city of Monaco. Maybe it can be far away. For example, if you are located in Canada, or if you are located in Bangkok, might be a bit difficult to visit different things. You can do it through website, through social media, but you will never, of course, you will never have the immersion. But what if we increase the immersion and makes you closer to what could it be? So yes, we can, let's say it's not a definition, but it's one of the main ideas why the augmented reality is more than relevant these days. So if you do not have any other input, let's then keep going with the webinar. So we have these three ideas, and I bring an idea definition from Wikipedia. We can say that Wikipedia may not be the best place to find a definition, but it's where we would find the must-read definition, the definition that everyone would read right from their smartphone. So augmented reality, that we often call AR, to be short, is an interactive experience of a real-world environment. So here we talk about interaction with the real world, just like we did before, where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer-generated perceptual information. So here we talk about computer, just like we talked about the device previously. So there is an idea of putting us in a reality that is generated by a computer, meaning that it's generated by some development. And we are on the other side. We are the one who develop the AR, who develop the stories behind the AR. And we have tools that make things easier and easier, including Fectar. And there is a second part of this definition that I find interesting. Sometimes across multiple sensory modalities, including visual, auditory, and olfactory, and others. So visual is the most important, as I mentioned earlier, as it's our main sense, but we can also add auditory. And if you are even more developed, you can set up some olfactory by the smelling sense tools that will increase even more the immersion, or even things that will for your touch sense, that will make you believe that you are touching different items while you have an AR station. So let's watch a video that will quickly show you another possibilities of the AR. And in this video, instead of seeing a series of 360 medias, we will see a big 3D items, and that you will watch by yourself. And so here is the video. It's a video that is from the Loquiz account. All right. So here you could see an example on how you can see the video and how you can use bigger 3D items and all the details you can see inside. And even by tapping on some details, you can interact with this. For example, here we could open the doors of the vehicle. And how do we use this? We use this using Fectar. So the Fectar tool is what we present today, what Bram is going to present you today. We came up with the idea of augmented reality since maybe 2 years ago, maybe more. And we actually took time to choose what would be the augmented reality provider. And this took us time to find one that would be convenient, that would fit with our use case, with the kind of event that you are making. And we decided that Fectar was the best fit for this. And so this is why we implemented the possibility to use Fectar in your Loquiz game. So now let's hear from Bram, the content director of Fectar. All right, so I will stop sharing my screen. And Bram, please let me know if you can share your screen. Or please let me know if the setup works correctly from your side.
Yes, thank you very much. I will try to share my screen.
Okay, I can see the screen from my side, and I hope it's the case for everyone. So yes, it means that the setup is good. So the floor is yours, Bram.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to share what's Fectar about with users of Loquiz. So I will have a small presentation about what Fectar is, and then I will show a few space created in Fectar, in Fectar Studio, the platform, and then also like in the AR viewer. And then yeah, I think I will be open for some questions. I don't know, but we will talk about that later. So Loquiz and Fectar, yes. I think that we received a few months back, like the invitation to talk with Loquiz. and we saw the opportunity there to implement, to give them the opportunity to use Fectar, and from those on their side they implemented the option to use augmented reality within their platform. So we are very happy to see this development also from our side. So I hope that I can explain Fectar to you, what it is and what the possibilities are to use in your Loquiz games.
Fectar is about democratizing.
I hope that you will hear the audio. If it's not, please let me know.
Metaverse, and that's what we've been working now for these past 2.5 years, and it's been quite a journey.
We launched Fectar in the beginning of 2020, and then it took off. Our users love our immersive and interactive spaces. So much that we grew to 5 million downloads worldwide.
Nothing to prove, I'm doing my thing. Yeah, you can do it too, just make the change. I like that.
With Fectar Studio, now everyone is able to create their own metaverse experiences. Really easy, there's no coding, and there are all types of interaction that you can add to your own 3D spaces. Try it. This is about democratizing the metaverse.
Do what you do it for you. Do it for you. Don't gotta try, it's what you made for. Yeah, it's your life, so make it all yours. I like that.
We created special tools to analyze all the activity and engagement in augmented reality and virtual reality. In heat maps, really easy and everyone can understand it. And not just this, we already have 4.9 million user sessions tracked in our database. And it enables you to benchmark your creation to other spaces in the same category where you are at with your spaces. That is leveraging the metaverse.
Do what you do it for you.
So that was a small introduction from what Fectar is. I think that it wasn't very clear, but I hope that I will make it more clear in this presentation. There are three topics that I want to address with you today. That's why AR and VR, the possibility of Fectar Studio in creating your own AR and VR experiences, and then Fectar for events. Where we see for the AR and VR for businesses is that on one side they learn the new technologies. AR and VR is still new, and a lot of people do not know what AR and VR is. I see I made a spell mistake here. Sorry for that. And they can do this by, on one side, learning the new technology. It's using like the Fectar apps and exploring what AR and VR can do for them. But also on your side, some creating and applying these technologies, just creating AR experiences. And then also, like with our tools, analyzing how their presentations, how they are visited, how many people are looking at one certain object or stuff like that. So that that's why we see like where AR and VR is one of the things that it's useful for. So there are 3 points. When you create, for example, your experiences about, for example, the bee, like the animal, the bee, you can learn about the topic, about what is a bee, where does it live. But like I said, you can also learn how you use the AR and VR technique because that is still new for a lot of people, even for your employees or your users. So that's there are two sides of using AR and VR. Then, of course, if you use the technology of AR and VR, it's it's a new way, it's interactive, it's immersive, and this way users will learn faster and remember better by your subject. For example, this is to be, because they are immersed with the content, they will learn the subject better. And then for us, it's also about virtual and remote learning. So it's maybe a little bit out of the scope of Loquiz, but that's for us also very important, that when you create your experience, you can share it with multiple people at the same time, but also experience the 3D content of the representations with other people real time. So that's it's a multiplayer game, if you want to call it like that. And this all comes together in how can you engage people. But for us, this is very important. It starts with the content. What are you going to show? Like, for example, 3D object of a bee, videos of explaining where he lives, images about stuff about his body, for example, and you can ask questions about that. So people can have multiple choice questions. Then the context, where are you going to show this content? Is it in the schoolroom or in your boardroom or maybe in your living room? And then that creates a certain relevance. So why are you showing me this here? And when you have the relevance, you can then add the gamification, the experience, the fun. And when you add that, they will remember your experience. And the gamification can be very big, like a game rise, but also like small interactions, clicking on a button. If you click on a button, an audio or sound becomes, or a video starts. And those stuffs are very important when you're creating AR VR, because you want to give them all the tools that you have to learn and see your story. So that's for us, like what is Fectar? Fectar is an AR VR building platform for all levels of experience. And with Fectar, you can create your AR experiences, you can publish your AR experience, and in the end, also very important, you can present your presentations. The Fectar platform is more than only mobile, because we see that the whole metaverse world that we are in now is that it's not only one device for us. It's also like the VR headsets, also like the HoloLens from Microsoft, and everything you build within Fectar Studio works on all those devices all at the same time. So you do not have to build one space for the VR, one space for AR. It's everything you build also works on all devices. And also very important for us, all those devices can also work together. So they can also, if there's something, a feature that we have in Fectar, it's called Fectar Meetup. I'm not going to be very in depth with that in this presentation, but if you want more information about that, I'm happy to share that with you guys. But when you create your presentation in Fectar Studio, all those devices can work together and you can watch the content together real time. Even if one person is in Amsterdam and the other person is in France, for example. The core of all this is Fectar Studio. So that's also something that I will show you. There's where you build your creations and upload your content, position your content, and then distribute to all different platforms. So if you go to see this flow chart, you upload your images, video, 3D files, 360 images and video. You upload that to Fectar Studio. You publish that to all the different apps. that they are. For Loquiz, this mainly will be the AR View app that will most of you already downloaded. And within Fectar Studio, you can also have analytics from that space, like how many times your scene has been watched, how many times, what kind of different apps, where are they located, and stuff like that. The device that we support are iOS Android devices. They are start as low as the iPhone 6S or the Samsung S7. And even if a device doesn't support augmented reality, because sometimes even if you have a new device, that is the case, you will see the 3D view of your presentation. So everyone will be able to see your content. Now here are our apps a little more in depth, and I highlighted the one in blue that Loquiz uses. So on that we have the Fectar, left that we have the Fectar app. This is a more social media based app, so where you can share your spaces. People can make video and photos, share those videos with friends. That app has plus 5 million downloads worldwide. So that's something that we're very proud of. But when we were developing this app, we also saw that a lot of businesses wanted a more lightweight AR viewer without the whole socialize part of the Fectar ecosystem, and that is AR View. It works faster because you go directly to the content. There's no Fectar branding, and it has the option, if you're something that you want, to even personalize how this viewer looks. But I want to clear up front, we will ask some extra costs for this. And other are the VR apps, also the HoloLens. This is something that you are interested in. And we can also embed our content to your 3D website, to your website. So here's the difference here again. You'll see like the logo of AR View, and it has the option to personalize. And on the left, you have like the same space you created in Fectar Studio, how it looks on both different apps. So you see like on the one of AR View is very stripped down, it goes directly to the content. And that is something that a lot of companies want. So therefore, AR View. When you create some content, and I will show you in a minute how you create your content in Fectar Studio, is that every space has its unique 5-letter code. And Ivan will show you is that when you go in Fectar Studio, this is also like the 5-letter code that you will use to implement it into your Loquiz scenes. But our scenes are also available if you just click on the link it creates or scan the QR code. But I think that's for your Loquiz use case, you will use the 5-letter code. So now I will give you a brief presentation, how you can create your presentation in Fectar, and what kind of features that we have, and what features I think that will be best for your needs. So with Fectar Studio, we support multiple different content types. We support 3D objects, mainly GLTF, or if you're more experienced with Unity, we also support that. Your 2D and 3D60 images, also video. So like what the demo you already saw uses like 360 images. You can add interactions to that. For example, if you click on a button or on 3D object or an image, you can open a hyperlink, or you can open a question that people need to answer. And if you answer it correctly, then there will something else happens. And we have something that calls it's called holographic video, and this is something that I thought the slide was directly next to this one, but maybe, yeah. So an holographic presenter is a recorded person before a green screen. You record with your mobile phone the green screen footage, and you upload this raw footage on Fectar Studio, and we directly cut out the green color. So if you see on the right hand side, the image is that you directly have a real live person in your presentation. And this is something that really helps to get some interaction with your users, because people talk with people. You can also use, like, for example, 3D character, but the connection is really, it's maybe better if you use a real person. So also something else is the option to have 3D portals. So that's like a 360 image or video, and here there's a 3D model added on top of the around the image, so it looks really like that you walk in through a door, and this gives also a really cool effect. Then something really fast about our 3D pipeline. We use the standard of 3D models, the GLTF format. If you are a little bit in 3D, you know that this is very efficient format for mobile devices. There's also like a format that SketchFab uses, so that you can directly download your model from SketchFab, upload it to Fectar Studio, and use it in your presentation. And you also have like the option to use Unity. If you are experienced with building, for example, scenes in Unity, you can export your scene into Fectar Studio, except anything that's script based. But if you have more questions about, please ask me about it. And here's a small step how to download your model from SketchFab. You just log in, search your 3D model. If it's downloadable, you can download the GLTF version and you upload the .zip in Fectar Studio. I will really like to share my screen for the Fectar Studio interface and just show a little bit around, and then show how a scene is built, and then show how it looks. This. So when you are logged in with Fectar, you will have like a very simplistic overview. I will not go too very in depth in this. If you want to get started with Fectar, we provide you with an onboarding session when you start. So then we go more in depth how everything works. But I want to just give you a brief overview. For today, I have created a scene for the Beatles. I just yesterday opened SketchFab, and I saw a very interesting 3D model and thought a little bit on how can I tell a little story about this, because in the end, that's something that most of people want to do with Fectar. So when I click on it, it then opens the space, and the space is what we call like your presentation. If you can't see it like in PowerPoint, for example, this is your presentation and then in 3D. You see here like a little overview of the different types of content that I have in my scene. So I can understand that this maybe it's a little bit overwhelming, but it just has like some hierarchy that you can create. For example, I have a 360 video in here. and then you have on the right hand side some properties from position that you can change, rotation, add the content itself, and also the whole presenter. So these are just spots in Fectar Studio, and when you want to create a new spot, the spots are content. So you have 3D content, 2D content, video content, everything that you add in your space. We call that spots. So that's our terms for that. And once you add some content to your space, you click on new spot, and here there are a few options that you have, like images, video, audio, the things that I already told you. Also, for example, 3D text, and you can add some interactions. So you can have questions. You can do a hyperlink. You can navigate to different kinds of spaces. So if you want to from one space to other space, those are all things that you can do. And then you can preview your space. Preview tab. And there you get a little representation of what your scene is all about. Oh, of course. Very sorry for this. Normally I'm presenting on my iPad, so that's very sorry for that. But then I will go quickly to the share tab. Here, when you created your space, you of course want to share it with other people, and then you can add some information about your space. So, for example, the title, the subtitle, and description, just to give people some idea what your space is all about. And then, of course, it's also very interesting to see how, and then to see your space in action. So this for this, I will click on the link to test my space in the AR View app. So I click on this, and I will stand up. So I will get a little preview about space. And then I click in View in AR. They will you search the room, so you see a little bit of points on the ground. And if you click on the screen,
If you should shaking up, and she told me what to say. She says she loves you, and you know that can be bad. Yes, she loves
a little bit very small, but it tells a little bit of a story about the Beatles, and you can imagine when you, for example, are really at the place where this statue is located. You can, of course, do not show the 3D model, but only show other content. So you can enrich the real statue from real life with content, or of course, use the 3D model provided by someone else. So this was the demo I wanted to give you about Fectar. I'm aware it's very brief, but I hope it gave you some idea what Fectar is and what it can do. Okay. And Yeah, I don't know if it's the right time to have questions right now, or do you want it for in the end?
We can have a question session right now from your presentation, from our users regarding your presentation. So if any one of you have any question to ask Bram regarding Fectar, regarding the augmented reality, feel free to shoot.
I have a question about dimensions. Like, can you preset dimensions of where you're going to have everything happen?
Yeah, so everything that you create in Fectar Studio is life size. So 1 centimeter is 1 centimeter in the Fectar. So you can position everything, for example, 150 centimeters in the air and then 150 centimeters to the left. And then you can just, you can position your content how you want. So, then it's.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then you can have everything on scale, and then and does it answer your question, or?
I was thinking about a viewer who needs they need to know how much room they need to move around to see. So like, would you be able to set up the area for a person, like the application could know how much room you need, like if you're just working in a small room, how much room you need to see the presentation?
Well, we give that choice to the creator, because sometimes we do not. The creator itself, when you position your content, you place your content, but the 3D objects and everything is already visible, so you can just then check where you want to place your content. But everything is real life size. So when you know that your user has a little space, then it's up to the creator to make sure it fits. So when, for example, a teacher knows that they want to place an elephant in their classroom, they know how much space they have. So that's something that we ask from the creator to keep in mind.
Yeah, but can the viewer be given an advance warning of how much space they need? That's what I'm trying to get at.
No, not directly now. No. So we thought that we considered the possibility indeed to have like an indication, like this is 3 to 3 meters or 10 by 10 meters. But that's something that we did not implement in the Fectar app. So we cannot give somebody an indication how big the space is. Only that when they place it, they need the room. Yeah. But we see most of the time that people, when they have some space, the max space that they have is around 3 by 3 meters. So we all mostly advise creators to build their space with 3 by 3 meters. But for example, if you have a car, you want to place a car in your street, then the user could expect the car is very big. But
if you were using this in a whole city, you could basically you could have it as large as you want, right? The area.
Yeah, we say that not exceed the 10 by 10 meter mark.
Oh.
Not because it's not supported, but because you have to have a very powerful device to go beyond the 10 by 10 meters. Because all those, it scans the floor, it uses very contrast point on the floor, and that takes up memory. And if you have, like for example, an older phone, it will, it can have some unexpected results. and then therefore we say max 10 meters.
Could you have it, I don't know, with Loquiz where you're using GPS, so you get to a particular location out in the real world, and it's like it's time to go ahead and show the view. You can have something like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So if when you use Loquiz, then you have like you know that people are on a certain location, for example,
yes,
and then
exactly.
you know how much space they have.
And you can even the place is often decided beforehand with between the client and the event company. So sometimes they can even choose a space that will be suitable if they want to make some augmented reality. For example, making sure that they have a floor that would fit with a flat floor, concrete floor that would fit with Fectar. And we have a question from Richard. Will Fectar eventually be embedded in Loquiz? This is something we discussed with Bram the other day. I would say that's something that might be that will be possible. Still, it needs a bit of development from both sides, development from other aspects of the app. So if it will be possible, it will be possible from the next year. And this is something we would both keep you and our users in touch. So yes, the answer is yes. And we have a question from Bob. Does Fectar Studio allow 3D object creation in app, or is it just rendering?
We are not. Fectar Studio is not a 3D creation platform. It's needs to show your 3D content. So we ask you to create a 3D content, for example, in applications like Blender, or for example in Unity, and then you can import that to Fectar Studio, or use open source software like SketchFab, where you can download directly GLTF from them.
And there is this is actually something that I will develop a bit later. So there are this way to extract some 3D materials. And I will actually show the website where you have accessible 3D files. And also there is also another way. Let's imagine that you make an event for a company, car brand. Let's say BMW. You can also ask your client to have 3D models, and they will most likely have some that they can share for the events.
And to ask your other question, Bob, we have indeed a library of 3D files that you can start to play around with, because we also know that not everyone has 3D objects available right now. We are updated, constantly try to update those lists. But if you have some objects that you really want to see, please let us know. I will also saw some other questions about Richard about setup cost, and also I saw that your Loquiz team. All right, yeah. So there's no setup cost for using Fectar, only to have an active license with Fectar Studio. The setup cost that you saw and is that you can also personalize the AR view. So if you have a brand that's, for example, very brand heavy, for example, maybe Coca-Cola, for example, you can understand that they want the Coca-Cola logo when you start up the app, and that is something that we knew that those are the setup costs. But if you want that, please let us know. The costs for this, on top of my head, are €799 just to have your brand there. But you can use like the AR view just as is, and that's the standard in the license of Fectar. The question about voice recognition, any idea about integrating voice recognition in experience? No, we didn't actually thought about that. It's very interesting. Yeah, thanks for your question. I will take it away with our team. Maybe it's something that we can introduce to our users. What are published spaces? Within Fectar, you can, and this is also like that something that Ivan will show, is that you can create your spaces in Fectar Studio, and there are 3 options that you can choose how to share your content. Would be take a very good look about how YouTube does this, but you can set your space to private, so only you can access the content. You can have them unlisted, so that this means that it will not show up in the Fectar app because so that's only you and people that have the share link can access your content, or you can set it to publish, and then it will also be available within the Fectar app. So that's maybe a little bit confusing. There are 2 apps within Fectar. You have the Fectar app, you can find this in the Play Store as well, and you have AR View. And then, yeah, so if you set your space on published, it also is for everyone available who has the Fectar app. So keep that in mind. But it's also maybe for you, if you have want to use the space widely available, is something that you can think about. But it is not necessary to set your space to published to use it with Loquiz. You can just set it to unlisted, and then it works. Yes, you can on the fly. You can set you publish or unpublish your space. You can even on the fly change content, add content, and stuff like that. So it's really like it's nothing is set in stone when you create your space. It can also always be edited. So that's for me, like the most cool thing about Fectar is you can create your space, you can check it, and then if it's not, you want to change something, you can change your stuff very, very easy.
All right, see, you could answer all the question. I have one last question before we move on to the next part. How would you define the difference between AR and VR?
Thank you for your question. For me, the biggest difference between AR and VR is, of course, you have the technology that it surrounds you instead of uses the real world. I personally would like to also always check it, what is the kind of story you want to create. And for example, if you want, for example, for the elephant, if you want to explain to people learn about elephants, you use AR if you want to walk them around his feet and his ears and stuff like that, and have like interaction about what are his ears, what does it do. And you use VR if you want to show people where this elephant lives. So if it lives for example, in savannah, with VR, you can immerse people within the savannah where the elephant lives. And that's it for me, like the difference between AR and VR. Yes, it's technology difference, but for me, it's more like use case difference.
Yeah.
Because with Fectar, we support them both. So we don't have to choose. But it's more use case driven for me than technology driven.
We can also see the inside of the elephants and the guts and the brain, and that's something that would be interesting to see with the VR to analyze the anatomy of the elephants. Thanks, Bob, for the good idea.
It's on 2 more questions. One question. Within the basic license of Fectar Studio, you have up to 10 spaces. And those can be, you can all put it on public. And if you want more spaces, this is also, we are a startup. Maybe that's also good to say. So we are working on implementing that you can buy more spaces. So you have 10 spaces to start. If you need more spaces, like I said, just email us and we are very happy to help you out.
All right, let's keep in the schedule. So let's move on to the next part. Thank you very much, Bram, for your presentation and for presenting us the AR. And this is something that is new for us, even for me. Even before preparing this webinar, I had to spend time into finding a bit of information about this. So let's resume the presentation. So I will keep sharing my screen. Please let me know if you don't see my screen. All right. Okay. Now, how do we set up the augmented reality with Loquiz? So how do we link Fectar and Loquiz? And the other question is indeed how to set up Fectar with Loquiz, because now we choose Fectar as the augmented reality provider. And we have a few steps to go if you wanted to make it possible. The first step is, of course, to have a Loquiz account. Then you need a Fectar account. And you need the 3D models and or 360 media, which I will show you each of the steps. So to show you the steps, I will keep sharing my screen. So first, how to get with Loquiz. You have to go there, and you have to go to the website. I think you all have a Loquiz account, but I will still say, just in case if someone is watching the recording and still not decided in getting Loquiz. So you can easily sign up here, fill all this form, and you will immediately have access to the Loquiz Creator. So the Loquiz Creator is this platform that you can see in which you can make games. And I will highlight a common point between Fectar and Loquiz, is that we are both creative platform where we can let people create things for a wide range of users. This was the game that I made you try, where you could visit Monaco from your room, from your own room. And what's the difference between Loquiz, or what's the different? What is the setup that you find in Loquiz that allows you to set up the AR? Is within the task edition, and within the task edition, it's a media, and you have this 3D object shortcode, and I will show you later what is the shortcode. To have this activated, is most probably you don't have it activated in your Loquiz account if you have one. So I invite you to contact us on hello@loquiz.com, and we will reach out to set it up in your account if you want to add some augmented reality on your account. So whenever you set up this, and I will show you how it appears in the screen. It will appear just like that. So you have the screen, and there is this button that appears just above the media. So as you could see before the media, I was putting this emoji to make it very evident that you have to tap here to see Monaco from your room. So let's say that now you indeed have a Loquiz account, and you will need to get the Fectar account. So to get the Fectar account, you can go to the Fectar website, fectar.com, and same idea. Start with a free trial, and from the free trial, you can start with an actual account. So with the free trial, you can test for 3 different 3D models and how would be the user experience if you give them the access to a space to, let's say, a 3D item that you would show them. And if you want to link with Loquiz, you will need to have to start a subscription with Fectar. So you have you can see the pricing here for the subscription, and you have up to 10 spaces if you take this plan. But then, as Bram said, if you want more than 10 spaces, which most likely happen if you make quite a developed game for your clients, feel free to contact them. So let's see how's the account, how's there on version of the creator. So as Bram showed you when he shared the screen, this was something like this. And here you can see what I used earlier for the showcase of Monaco. So what happens is that you create a space, and from the space, you then set up in the Loquiz game. So I'll show you a bit in depth later when we'll have all the tools. So now let's assume that we have the Fectar account, and the next part is to get 3D models and 360 media. So Bram made a list on how you can get these models. You can get through the spaces of Fectar. You can get it also to the open source, to the website or to the library of 3D items. For example, SketchFab, sketchfab.com, and you have quite a lot of items that you can bring into an augmented reality. Today, I will show you a very simple example on how to implement Shiba Inu in your launch room. So I type Shiba Inu, and I have already quite many models. And yes, so you have models that are that you need to pay, and it's the case for most of them. And you may need to go to pay if you really want something specific. And you have some models that you can use that are open source that you can use for free. So in our example, let's use this one. So this one is one that you can see using the augmented reality. You have to download, and you have to download in GLTF, and you just download the zip file, and you don't need anything else. So we'll see later how we can implement this. Now the question may be, how would it be with the how would you get your own 3D model for a very specific event? So it's also the you can also ask your own 3D designers if you really want something very specific. it can take quite a lot of time and resource to build your own. So this is why I advise you to use a 3D model bank, just like I show you. Or you can ask your client. Like I said, if your client is BMW or Peugeot, you can ask if they have a GLTF version of the 3D models of their cars, so that you can implement in your events that you will provide your client with. And now let's see how to get the 360 medias. 360 medias are media that you can take from 360 cameras. So 360 cameras, this is something that you can buy. You have many manufacturers of 360 camera, including GoPro. And yes, I actually own one, and this is how I implement my own 360 content. As you can see, maybe you have a thumbnail where you can see my face, and I have this camera, and this works very well. And this is with this camera that I could go in Monaco and take these pictures that you can see in the game that I made you test. And you can also edit this picture to add things on it. And I wrote a blog article on it. So you can check in our blog later. I wrote different information on how you can use this camera. And the good news about Fectar is that you can also use these files from these cameras as 360 photos media. And the 360 photo will look like this, also videos. So they are raw files, raw pictures that will be read by Fectar, and it will automatically adapt like a globe, like a picture that you can see around you, just as you tried in the demo game. So now imagine that you have all of this. So the question is how to link all together when you have everything. To link it all together, let's go back to Fectar. Right. Just right here. So you can create a new space, and from the spaces you can have templates that you can try. But let's make ours from an empty template. Let's call it Shiba Inu. And you have different spots. I will come back later about this. So to add the 3D model, let's start with the GLTF. From the GLTF, you have to add a file here, and we can take the zip file. So you need to use the zip file. And here is how you can adapt in the real life, just as you asked Fred, how you can change the side. It's just right here. And you can actually add many other things. So I will show you with the Monaco example. So then you can have a preview and you can share. So you can actually share in the space. So to do this, and you then you have to save. It's important to say that you make sure that everything is there. So then you can make it public, or you can also decide that it will be unlisted in case if you have some sensitive content. For example, let's imagine that your client is Skoda, and Skoda gives you the 3D models of a car that isn't being released yet. So they want you to keep it secret. So it's better to keep it unlisted. And then from here, you have the code here, and this is the code that you will need to copy, paste, and put on Loquiz right here, and the code is to be put here. So I actually prepared the game for the Shiba Inu, this one. And from the tasks, here, media, and right here. So up, I change here, save change, and now it should be ready. If you want to test it quickly, I'll let you test just to see how I could actually transport this Shiba Inu from a Loquiz game. I will give ourselves 1 or 2 minutes so you can try it, and then I will go to the next part. And the next part will be the questions. Well, I will show first the Monaco, how the Monaco display was made using Fectar, using different elements, and then we'll go to the questions. So here, if you scan from your phone, and you can see Shiba Inu right on your ground, in your place, in your room. So here we can see the same 2D items that I was using from the website that I downloaded right in front of you. And you could see this, you can see this item right in your phone. And you can do the same with any of the product that will allow you to bring augmented reality for your events. Okay, so from there, I want to show you now how the Monaco game looks like. All right. So this is the space that they used for the Monaco display. And as you can see, it's a bit more loaded with the spots. So one spot is one element that you can put in your space. For example, the 3D text that was telling you that this is Monaco. And then the 360 picture that I put, for example, the Casino of Monaco, and there was Ferrari events on this day. So you can literally see 100 of Ferrari in this picture. And you can add some other spots. So 3D models here, and you can even move around. You can also add a 3D text and make them float. So to change the location, you have to use this coordinate. And this is how I could put the different portals and elements, different spots in the 3D items. You can also use Holo Presenter. So this is what Bram showed us. And this is the what you saw, the presenter with the green comma behind. So you can add this in your space and let people see someone talking with a transparent background. And as I say, all of this can be moved in different locations. And then this is what we can see in the preview. And yes, so I could even change the angle of this portal. I could change the height of the text here. So everything was fitting and everything looks like a triple portal right in front of you. And from this, you can also have some ideas of a game that you can put in your Loquiz game. Let's imagine a riddle, and they need to enter in one of the portal, and they need to figure out which one is the correct portal. So from there, the imagination is only the limit if you want to implement some very immersive game. All right. And that's it. With all these elements, we could be able to start a Loquiz game that use augmented reality. So from now, let's go to the questions and comments. And this is the last part of the webinar. So if you have a question and comments, feel free to unmute yourself or to type in the chat. So actually, we have one question, and this is a question that is for Bram. Does Fectar support GIF as well as videos?
So thank you very much. I said it already to Fred. I said it only to Fred, I saw. But for video, we support .mp4. So no GIFs from at this moment.
All right. Thank you for your answer. Do we have other questions among you? If you have any question about the Loquiz implementation or some other question that would arose from what I presented you. I believe that a lot of questions were asked after your presentation, Bram, and it was very great from you that you could clearly answer to some of these questions, because myself also I was having this interrogation, and this is interesting that this different aspect of Fectar are possible.
Yes, sure, no problem. It was also for me very nice to see how you used Fectar. I think that in the end, that maybe my presentation was a little bit rushed, but I'm very glad that you showed Fectar in a more slow-paced way. And so yeah, I hope that that you at least get a little bit more impression what you can do with Fectar and how you can use augmented reality. And for most of our users, they are very new with new technologies. So in the end, we are very happy to help you in any way we can if you have some questions about AR and Fectar. Yeah, you can also. I think that my contact information will be shared. By you, Ivan. I think that then if you have some questions, you can email directly.
I wanted to say, hi Fred. I wanted to say that yes, Fectar is we also choose Fectar because it's actually quite easy to use from the app to the. Of course, there are still some click to do to go to the Play Store, to the App Store, and then get the app. But compared to what we would have before, it's already a great step ahead. And also, I can see that you are still that Fectar is still thinking ahead how it can make it even more accessible to the users. We have a question for Bob. I noticed how the virtual host tool cropped out the green screen. Does that then render to an before? Just thinking about the flat element with transparency.
Yeah, so the way that the Holo Presenter works is that you upload .mp4 or .mov. That works as well to Fectar Studio with your presenter and the green image between background, and then we crop that the green color real time away within Fectar. So it still uses like an MP4, but when you use the Fectar apps, you will not see the green color. And your follow-up statement about flat elements with transparency. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but we support PNGs as well, so you can upload round images with transparent holes in it, so you only see like the round image. So you can also play with that, and the system works this way. Like if you use a transparent image, it only if you add an interaction to it, if you click on it, and it, for example, shows URL link or question, it only triggers when you click on the visible part and not on the invisible part. So maybe that's good to know.
All right, thank you for your answer. Do we have other questions here? So now it's 5 p.m. exactly. Oh, we have a question. Just interested in what we get for the price in Fectar. Is 10 object amounts, and each of those objects can be used in a game. Is that 10,000 views per object?
When you get a license of Fectar, you get 10 spaces. Those are 10 presentations, so 10 times the Monaco presentations or 10 times the Beatles presentations. And in total, there says on the website indeed that there is a total cap of 10,000 views for all those spaces. But I can say you in this that we do not cap that, but it's more like that is more, how you say it, fair terms of use. That we say it there, but you have just 10 spaces and you have unlimited views. But this is, yeah.
Thanks. Do you have any other questions? Feel free to type in the chat or to unmute yourself and to ask the question. And just in case if a question arises later, you can send me a question on my email. I write the question in the email just in case if you don't have it. So it's ivan@loquiz.com. So Rita asks, so the limitation is for the views and publish paste, but not creations.
No, you have in total a max of 10 spaces in one account. So 10 presentations. And like I said, I think it was to Fred, if you need more spaces, you just let us know, and then we can help you out.
All right, thank you. If we have other questions, okay. So I will stop the recording now.